winning matters. Not trying, not being a good sport, not showing up, winning. The world does not hand out prizes for effort. It rewards results. It doesn't care how hard you worked, how noble your intentions were, or how much you wanted it. The scoreboard doesn't display almosts, it displays victories. And in the brutal economy of life, victory is currency. Without it, your voice doesn't echo. Without it, your principles are invisible. Without it, your very existence is negotiable. This is not pessimism. It's the oldest truth in history. Machiavelli wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, meaning they measure you by what you achieve, not by what you intend. Nietzsche called life will to power, the eternal drive to expand, conquer, overcome. If you do not win, you are erased by those who do. You can argue with this, pretend life is fair, or cling to a comforting illusion that goodness alone guarantees reward. But reality is indifferent to your feelings. The man who plants the flag shapes the narrative. The rest are footnotes. Here's the brutal irony. Winning is not just about you, it's about leverage. When you win, people listen. They give you room. They follow your lead. Your victories buy you the ability to protect the things you value, to push your principles into the world. Without that leverage, you are reduced to begging for scraps of influence from those who did win. Think of Alexander the Great, dead before 33, but remembered for centuries because he won. Think of Marcus Aurelius, philosopher king, whose wisdom still guides minds today, but his ideas survived because he also commanded an empire. Winning preserved his words. Without power, they would have vanished into dust. This is the first reality you must face. If you do not commit to winning, your ideals will be buried. If you want your life to mean something beyond your own heartbeat, you must fight for the victories that will carry your voice forward. And no, this does not mean crushing others blindly. It means refusing to settle for mediocrity. It means understanding that effort without results is wasted breath. Nietzsche once wrote, "Become who you are." That's not a casual suggestion. It's a demand. To become who you are, you must prove yourself in the arena. Not just to others, but to yourself. The purpose of this video is not to pat you on the back. It's to wake you up. To strip away the comforting excuses that make losing feel acceptable. You know deep down when you've been outplayed. You know when you've rationalized a defeat because facing the truth hurt too much. That habit will kill your potential long before the world does. Winning matters because it builds momentum. Victory fuels self-respect. It is the proof of competence that no one can deny. Once you taste it, you stop asking for permission to be great. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision. Comment this now. I don't chase respect. I command it. If this is hitting you, good. Stay locked in, because what's coming next will dismantle every excuse you've been clinging to. We're about to break down the mindset shift that turns you from a hopeful player into a relentless winner, and I promise you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. By the way, if this is already striking a nerve, hit the like button and subscribe. That's not for me, it's for you. It's a signal to yourself that you're committing to thinking differently. You'll want to be here for the next part, because we're about to dissect the psychological framework. Machiavelli and Nietzsche understood the same one that decides whether you rise or remain invisible. You think winning is about luck. You think it's about who has the better cards, the better upbringing, the better breaks. That's the lie they sell you to keep you docile. The truth is, winning is a construction. A deliberate architecture built through strategy, positioning, and the relentless refusal to stay at the bottom. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In The Prince, he makes it clear, Appearances matter as much as reality. People will judge you not by the depth of your heart, but by the strength of your position, and position is earned through winning. Let's strip it down. There are only two kinds of people in the world: those who influence outcomes, and those who get influenced by them. Nietzsche would call the first the creators of values, those who shape the rules, and the second, the herd. If you're not winning, you're in the herd, no matter how intelligent, talented, or special you think you are. Step 1 in escaping the herd is understanding that results are the only language the world speaks fluently. You can talk about your vision, your worth, your potential, but until you produce undeniable proof, it's just noise. And proof in this world means victories. Concrete, visible, measurable wins that no one can strip from you. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think victory is a moment. They think it's about one big breakthrough that changes everything. That's fantasy thinking. Machiavelli knew that real power comes from accumulating small, strategic wins that stack until your position is unshakable. You don't conquer an empire in a day, you conquer it city by city, alliance by alliance, deal by deal. Nietzsche would add that in the process, you must embrace the struggle as the very thing that shapes you. One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Winning is forged in that chaos, the late nights, the failures, the relentless recalibration until your will hardens into something unbreakable. So how do you build this architecture of winning? First, you become impossible to ignore. That means delivering results so consistently that people are forced to acknowledge you, even if they hate you. Machiavelli warns that love is fickle, but fear and respect endure when earned. That doesn't mean becoming cruel for cruelty's sake, it means making your value non-negotiable. Second, you play the long game. Most people lose because they treat life like a sprint. They burn out chasing quick rewards, never realizing that real winners think in decades, not days. They sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term dominance. Nietzsche called it amor fati, the love of one's fate, embracing the entire journey, including the grind, because it's the grind that makes the victory worth anything. And third, you stop broadcasting your every move. Power grows in silence. Machiavelli advised rulers to conceal their true intentions until the moment of execution. The more unpredictable you are, the harder you are to counter. Victory loves preparation, but it hates visibility until it's secure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you aren't intentionally moving toward winning, you are accidentally moving toward losing. There is no neutral ground. The world is too competitive for you to stand still. The moment you pause, someone else is overtaking you. Comment this now. I play to win, not to participate. If you're still here, you're starting to understand why winning is not a choice, it's a survival mechanism. In the next section, we'll go deeper into the psychological weapons that both Machiavelli and Nietzsche would arm you, with the mental edge that makes victory almost inevitable once you've committed. And if you haven't already, subscribe now, because what's coming next isn't just theory, it's the part that turns you dangerous in the best possible way. The next minutes will hardwire a mindset most people never even touch. Every battle is won twice, first in the mind, then in the world. The average person only fights the second battle. They show up, they push, they try, but they enter the field already defeated because their head is a battlefield they've abandoned to the enemy. Machiavelli understood that power begins with perception, and perception begins with what you allow yourself to believe. If you see yourself as weak, the world will too. If you project uncertainty, others will smell it like blood in the water. Nietzsche took it further. He believed that man's first victory must be over himself. The man who cannot command his own mind will never command anything else. Your first psychological weapon is identity shaping. Most people live reactively. They wake up and let the world dictate who they are today. Winners impose their identity on reality. They decide what role they play, and they play it so convincingly that the world adjusts around them. Machiavelli would tell you this is not deception, it's leadership. People follow certainty. If you are that certainty, you become gravity. Your second weapon is strategic detachment. Nietzsche spoke about standing above the fray not to avoid it, but to see it clearly. You cannot win if you are tangled in every emotional impulse, reacting like a leaf in the wind. Detachment gives you clarity. It allows you to see patterns, anticipate moves, and act with precision while others drown in their own chaos. This is why some men seem to always be lucky. It's not luck. It's their ability to keep their head while everyone else is losing theirs. The third weapon is deliberate pressure. Most people treat discomfort as a signal to stop. Winners treat it as a forge. Nietzsche famously said, "What does not destroy me makes me stronger." But you can't just survive hardship. You must seek it out to build the muscle that winning demands. Controlled adversity becomes a training ground. Machiavelli knew that leaders who grew up in constant challenge were far more ruthless and adaptable than those born in ease. The fourth is narrative control. History is written by the victors, yes, but more importantly, the present is dictated by those who frame it. Winners do not let others define the meaning of events. They shape the story, turning even setbacks into demonstrations of resilience and inevitability. If you lose a battle, make it look like part of the master plan. If you face criticism, use it as proof you're making waves. Perception can keep you in the game long enough for reality to catch up. These are not abstract ideas. They are the tools that separate the temporary achievers from the ones whose names are etched into history. And here's the sting. None of this works if you're addicted to external validation. Nietzsche despised the herd mentality, precisely because it traps people in the need to be approved by the very system they should be outgrowing. You cannot win if you're constantly asking the crowd for permission. Machiavelli would remind you the crowd is useful for power, but dangerous for guidance. Comment this now. I decide who I am. I decide how I win. If you feel something shifting in you right now, good, because in the next section, we're going to talk about execution. How you take all of this, the mindset, the philosophy, the weapons, and turn them into a consistent, crushing pattern of victories that compounds over time. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. The next part is where the ideas stop being theory and start becoming the sharp edge you carry into every fight. You can stack all the knowledge in the world, but if you never convert it into decisive action, you're just an armchair philosopher with good quotes and no legacy. Winning is not an abstract dream. It's a disciplined system, a process, a rhythm you impose on your life until results are not occasional, they are inevitable. The first pillar of execution is precision targeting. Most people lose because they try to fight every battle that presents itself. Machiavelli would call that folly. The prince who spreads his forces thin over meaningless skirmishes leaves himself vulnerable where it matters most. You must decide which battles are worth winning, and only those. Everything else is noise. Nietzsche's Übermensch does not waste energy on the trivial. He directs his will toward what truly asserts his power. You start by identifying your core arena, the place where winning will create ripple effects everywhere else. If that's your business, dominate your market. If it's your craft, make your mastery undeniable. One decisive win in the right arena can make 10 other battles unnecessary. The second pillar is momentum engineering. Small wins are not consolation prizes, they are the stepping stones that allow you to land the big wins. Machiavelli would tell you to fortify your position after every gain. Never let progress sit idle. Build on it before the advantage slips away. Victory loves acceleration. The third pillar is uncompromising standards. Most people lose their edge the moment they achieve a little success. They relax, they loosen discipline. That's when predators circle. Nietzsche would tell you that the path to greatness is infinite ascent. There is no summit where you rest. Each victory is not the end, but the new baseline from which you launch the next. The fourth pillar is timed strikes. Power grows in the shadows, but victory is secured in the open. Machiavelli warned that acting too soon is as fatal as acting too late. You must learn to sense the exact moment when your preparation is at maximum potency, then strike with precision, decisiveness, and no hesitation. Winners don't give warning shots, they deliver finishing blows. And finally, the fifth pillar is post-victory consolidation. The battle is not over when you win, it's over when the win is secured so deeply it cannot be reversed. That means cementing relationships, locking in contracts, protecting territory, and eliminating threats while they're weak. Machiavelli built entire chapters on this. Victory without consolidation is a short-lived illusion. This is how you turn winning from an occasional event into your normal state of existence. You identify the right arena, you build momentum, you raise your standards with every gain, you time your strikes, and you lock down every win so tightly that it becomes the foundation for the next. But understand this, execution demands a certain ruthlessness not toward others, but toward yourself. You must kill your own excuses before they ever leave your mouth. You must suffocate laziness the moment it appears. You must drag yourself toward the objective when your feelings beg you to stop. Nietzsche called this self-overcoming, the act of conquering yourself daily so that nothing external can conquer you. Comment this now. I execute, I finish, I win. If this has been opening your eyes, then listen carefully, because in the next section, we're going to take the final leap. We're going to talk about legacy, how to win in such a way that your victories echo long after you're gone. The way Machiavelli and Nietzsche's ideas still shape minds centuries later. And yes, subscribe now if you haven't. What's coming will change the way you think about every single move you make from this day forward. Winning without permanence is like building castles in sand. It might look impressive for a moment, but the tide will erase it, and no one will even remember it existed. If you truly understand Machiavelli, if you truly hear Nietzsche, you know that the point is not just to win today, it's to win in a way that cannot be undone tomorrow. Machiavelli was obsessed with foundations. He knew that a ruler who seized power but failed to build structures, alliances, and narratives to protect it was already a dead man walking. The same applies to you. Your victories must be layered into the architecture of your life so deeply that they become unshakable. Nietzsche adds the dimension of eternal recurrence, the idea that you should live as if you would repeat this life over and over, infinitely. That means your wins should be the kind you'd gladly relive, victories of substance, not just ego. You don't want to remember a life full of hollow trophies. You want to remember one where your wins meant something, where they elevated you and everyone you chose to bring with you. The first rule of legacy winning is transferability. Your victory should open doors not just for you, but for those you align with: allies, family, protégés. This creates a network of loyalty that outlives you. Machiavelli knew a ruler was safest when his people benefited from his rule. The second rule is symbolism. Every major win should stand for something bigger than itself. Humans remember symbols far longer than statistics. Alexander's conquests were massive, but what's remembered is the image of him cutting through the Gordian knot, an act that became the ultimate metaphor for decisive action. Craft your victories so they carry a story. The third is documentation. Control your narrative before others do. Nietzsche's words survived because they were written, sharpened, and repeated. If you don't preserve your own story, The world will rewrite it in ways that diminish you. Keep records, build artifacts, leave a trail of undeniable proof that you were here and you won. The fourth is principle embedding. Legacy winning means your values survive because they are woven into your victories. The Roman Empire wasn't just power, it was law, roads, architecture, language. They embedded their values into the very structure of their conquests. Do the same. And finally, the fifth is irreversibility. Win in ways that cannot be undone without enormous cost to those who might try. That might mean building wealth in multiple forms, securing alliances across competing powers, or creating systems that keep generating value even without your presence. Machiavelli would call this securing the state. Nietzsche would call it affirming your will to power so completely that it becomes part of the fabric of the world around you. Here's the final truth. History doesn't care about intentions, feelings, or the moral debates of the moment. It remembers the ones who bent reality to their will and then left behind structures, stories, and systems that made their existence impossible to ignore. Comment this now. My victories will outlive me. If this video has hit you anywhere close to the way I intended, then you know you can't just walk away from this unchanged. You've heard the brutal truths that winning matters, that it's built with precision, that it's armed with psychological weapons, that it's executed with discipline, and that it's secured with permanence. Machiavelli knew it. Nietzsche lived it. Now it's in your hands. Build your wins, protect them, let them echo. If this resonated, hit the like button, subscribe, and rewatch this until it's burned into you. Because the moment you forget, you slip, and in this world, slipping is the first step to losing everything you've built.